All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. It's been a couple of days, I believe, since the Fulham victory that we had. So I've had a nice break. The guys had a good break as well. All the panelists that always comes into this channel, they deserve a bit of break as well. So they had a break. But we're back. We're back to do it all over again. And building up to the whole Real Madrid match that's going to happen. But this isn't a preview or anything like that. Today it's all about Chelsea news bonanza. We are just going to talk about a whole heap of Chelsea news, some Real Madrid news, and just basically give you guys as much as different opinions as we can. So it's going to be an absolute blast of an episode. But before we get into all of that, the live chat, thank you so much for always supporting, joining. And I know a lot more people will join throughout the stream and we'll see it down the track. Thank you so much, as always, for your support. And getting on the act with all the comments. And as you can see, I've got two new guests here, all repeat guests. Some have been, after a long time, like AMEYA, and some like KISHAN, who's in and out, and pretty much his channel as well. Do you know what I mean? So before we get into all of that, first of all, my man AMEYA, it's been a long time. How you doing?
Yep, it's been a while, but I'm delighted to be back, and hopefully we can touch upon a few news and few, get a few controversial opinions out there.
Absolutely. By the way, is that the jersey that I gave you, AMEYA?
Yep, it is.
You're right. By the way, guys, that's the jersey that I gifted AMEYA last season because he was a top writer for the Blue Stands, which is obviously we're no longer operating that one. But that's a gift for AMEYA. I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to hand out a giveaway sometime soon for the live chat one of these days, maybe at the end of the season. So do look out for that. KISHAN, my boy, how's things?
All good as well, Miz. Get ready for this Real Madrid game, and then it's always like 2 days. There's been a game 2 days ago, and there's another one in 2 days. You get tired with it, but it shows we're doing something right to be in all these big games. So all good from my side.
No, 100%, man. I find it difficult to keep up with the content, bro. I don't know about, me as a fan, I'm sure you guys as a fan as well find it so difficult. There's a match, then 2 days later, another match. Like, you got to forget the last match so quickly and start really think about the next one, which is a bit tricky to do that, all the time.
And for you, bro, you got the preview, then you do the review, and then you might do like a watch along. So it gets a bit much for you.
Bro, I just live and breathe Chelsea, bro. Look, already we've got a lot of people on saying hello. First of all, Advait, my man. My man AMEYA back on the channel. It's been a while. Advait, by the way, you're going to be on for the Real Madrid preview. So heads up for you, just letting you know. We're going to do the preview probably tomorrow. I think the press conference is tomorrow, so we're going to do that. Yeah. So, Ved, you're on. Abhishek, thank you for joining. Hey, Miz, thank you so much for that. Then we've got Tommy, the CFC. Hey, what up? Just subbed and found from Matisse. Wow, that's brilliant. Matisse, thank you so much. Matisse doing the thing for me. Omar, salam, Miz. Walaikum assalam. Omar, thank you so much for that. We've got Declared here. I'm struggling to keep up with your streams. Declared. I've actually taken a couple of days off, so I'm not really sure, man. I'm chilling it down. So, this is after a couple of days off. Manhandle, my bro, Jonathan, I'm missing you heaps. Hopefully you come back very, very soon. Salam, Miz, and the boys, thank you so much. Let's get straight into this, boys. There's a lot to talk about. So we've got a lot of grounds to cover. I want to talk about Timo Courtois first up. Mm-hmm. I don't know, live chat, if you guys have seen, there's a article that's been released by Simon Johnson, literally probably 4 or 5 hours ago, talking about Timo Courtois, but the headline was quite, clickbaity headline where it starts off by saying, inverted commas, snake will come back to the Stamford Bridge and has a point to prove, da-di-da-di-da. And I thought, you know what, I just want to read this. And I go on to read that particular article and I see that it was actually a lot of things pro Timo Courtois. So I want to get the boys' opinion, and I'll go to you, KISHAN. Look, the fan base, there's no doubt about it. They've got a sour taste about Timo Courtois, the way he left and whatnot. But, I understand that. I completely get it. But where I sometimes find a bit difficult to difficult to, I suppose, embrace the situation is when fans starts calling him names like snake and rat and this and that. And I thought I'll read this article, right? And the article actually goes on to be a very much a pro article towards Thibaut Courtois, explaining that it was a misunderstanding. Yes, it was one-sided. It was, I think, someone close to Thibaut Courtois providing it. And the article goes on to say that, you know, inside Chelsea, there is the other side of the coin of this particular story. But from Thibaut's angle, it was pretty much saying that, look, you know, he was bought, I think, at the age of 17 from Genk, and he did the same thing, KISHAN at Genk. Like, he went AOL and he wanted to push that move for Chelsea, and then he got that Chelsea move, but then he was loaned off to Atletico Madrid. And in Atletico Madrid, he apparently fell in love with that city. 3 years there, he stayed for too long. He fell in love. He won the La Liga there, Super Cup, beating us in the Super Cup. I remember Falcao absolutely did a madness on us. I don't know if you guys remember Falcao that night was absolute animal. And Copa del Rey. And then he goes on to say that people misunderstand me in Chelsea. I left because I got family there. I didn't have my family here. I got my wife, my kids, and everyone there. And, you know, he was getting worried because Real Madrid put in an offer and Chelsea weren't moving quick enough to find a replacement. So I just want to ask you, man, are you one of those fans that have some sort of animosity towards him that, you know what, I hate you, man. I hate you so much. I can't wait till you come back to the bridge and give it to you. Do you look at it that way? You're like, you know what, it is what it is.
I'm way more, it is what it is, because I remember when he was our goalkeeper and I actually thought he was the best in the world. Like, when he replaced Petr Cech had been a legend for us, but I actually thought he was better when he came in. I felt more secure when we had Courtois. I know that was towards the end of Cech's time, so I rated him massively as a goalkeeper. The one sour taste that he always seems to leave, though, is I know that he's left and whatever, and like I said, I don't mind too much. It's been a long time. But he always seems to come out with these kind of phrases and stuff about Chelsea, which annoys a lot of fans.
Yeah.
And because I remember when he signed for Real Madrid, he came out and said, "Oh, I walked into this training ground and you can see instantly it's a huge club." And then
how he refers it as the White House. It is the White House. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. To be fair, I don't mind that if that's Real specific kind of stuff. But to say stuff like, "Oh, I came here and it feels like a big club," and stuff like that, that kind of undermines us. And I think recently he came out and said, like, me and Eden Hazard would always talk about playing at Madrid and stuff like that. It's just, it doesn't leave a good taste. With me, it was more like, you had your success at Chelsea. I know the way you left wasn't great, but I understood the reasons behind it. We loaned him out for way too long to Atletico. He loved Madrid. He's got kids there. I think his partner was in Madrid as well.
Yeah, he was.
So I get the life aspect behind it, but it's like, now stop with what you're saying about us. You should equally respect us and like the fans that were behind you and all that kind of stuff, even if they'd kind of been bad to you. Like, we got you out of Genk. Someone else might have, but we did do stuff for your career. When you look at someone like Lukaku, who could probably have equally a sour taste about us, he got asked about us and he said, I've got nothing bad to say. That was just a different period of time. Courtois actually went and had a good career with us, won a lot of stuff with us. So that does leave a sour taste. But like I said, Real Madrid is a massive club for someone like him. And for me, I don't really look at the whole snake thing and call him a snake and want him to fail. Tomorrow, don't get me wrong, not tomorrow, the day after, I want us to slap goals past him. And if he makes a mistake or two, I will look at him and think, yes, good on you. But nothing more than that, to be honest. Nothing more. I'm not going to watch Real Madrid versus Real Betis and hope Courtois makes a mistake.
Yeah, no, it's so well said, eloquently said as well, honestly. Manhandle CFC, football has no loyalty. Us fans can't judge players that prioritize family or money, as that's what we all do. So true. I just want to read a couple of other ones. who wouldn't want to be with your children? I can't blame him. And we're good with Mendy, 100%. Just want to read declared ones as well. Ms. He used the family excuse for going to Real, but splits from pregnant girlfriend. Yeah, look, I mean, there are plenty of stories. I mean, what's your take on this, AMEYA?
I think Kishan actually summed it up very well. I mean, I don't condone abuse towards him, but at the same time, I think the situation could have been handled slightly better. I think he did probably tell Marina a lot earlier that he wanted to leave, and she had a lot of time to sort out a replacement, but then we waited too long with Alisson, who joined Liverpool instead, and then we were stuck with Kepa. So it's faults on both sides, right? But at the same time, if you fell in love with the club, with Atletico Madrid, how can you join their arch rivals, right? I mean, how can you join Real Madrid?
I think he just fell in love with the city. I think he fell in love with the city. Yeah.
Could you imagine a player from Manchester United and then he goes elsewhere and then he's like, I like Manchester, and then goes and joins Man City?
Yeah,
Carlos Tevez.
That's true. Carlos Tevez, so true. The man was ruthless. Tevez did not care. There was no loyalty there, bro.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it could have been handled better. But I mean, directing abuse towards a player is a big no-no. But at the same time, tomorrow I hope he gets nutmegged, of course, several times by us. That's not up for debate. But I think it's the blame is on both sides. But I mean, that's all really. I think Kishan summed it up really well. I really hope that we do score past him, but there are still hard feelings, right? I'm not completely letting him off the hook. It's not just like, you know what, family and money is more important. Go on, do whatever you want. I mean, if football was like that, then so many players like, I don't know, like Iniesta, like Francesco Totti, such players would not exist. And I think that's a beautiful part of football. Even John Terry, for example, that's the beauty of football. So I think that there are some good examples, but most players don't sort of respect their club, which is sad to see, because the least he could have done is said, I respect my time at Chelsea. I won 2 titles there, so I had a good time there, but now it's a different part of my life. But he doesn't say that. He comes out and says. And as Kishan was
like he provokes.
Exactly. As Kishan was saying earlier, the first training session, he's like, the training levels are completely different to what it is at Cobham. I mean, that's just disrespectful. That's very disrespectful. And that's what triggers Chelsea fans more. I think it's been so long since he's left. I think if he would have just shut up and gone on with this game in La Liga, I don't think we would have cared, honestly. But it's because he keeps taunting us and, passes such comments that makes us, makes us sort of hate him a little more than we would usually hate the player who left so long ago. So let's see how the game goes.
Yeah. When you look at him, it's like, he's not so far away from another example at the same club of Eden Hazard, of how to behave. Just follow him.
Exactly.
Like, just be respectful. And I think another few things that kind of left a sour taste with us is because he was in the last year of the contract, and I thought we had like the best goalkeeper in the world, and you sell him for about what did we get? 30 million?
35.
And then you go and get Kepa for that much, and then eventually you see how it's worked out. That was really annoying for me, because you know what Courtois' market price would have been had he not had 1 year left as well. So that annoyed me. But
I think you're right. It's everything that transpired afterwards that made it even more sour. That it's because of you we ended up with Kepa for 72 million. But exactly right. You look at what Eden says, right? Eden Hazard's going around saying, I want to see Chelsea every season in the Champions League. I want to play them all the time. You look at how he was, after that first leg, hugging and everything and whatnot. And then there's that really good video where Thomas Tuchel goes by and Courtois puts his hand out and ignores him. I don't know if he saw him or not, but it was quite funny. But you boys are right, AMEYA and Kishan. You guys have said it so well that I don't think I've heard Thibaut Courtois say many times or any time at all that it was a good time at Chelsea. I won a couple of Premier Leagues there. There were some superb players that I played with. I learned a lot of stuff. Like, he never says that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Eden continuously, even do you remember for Real Madrid's press conference? I remember Eden Hazard started off like just praising Chelsea. He was just praising Chelsea for like the first 10, 15 minutes. And everyone's like, dude, you're at like Real Madrid press conference. Talking about Chelsea. Go on, man.
the part that annoys me is that it's not like he was a reject either, right? I mean, if he was treated like De Bruyne or like Salah and then he's, dissed our club, then it's understandable. He was literally a title-winning goalkeeper and he played like he was the starting goalkeeper in both those seasons. That's what annoys me.
Absolutely. Rafe, thank you so much for commenting here. He's disrespected our stadium too. Rafe, initially you had another comment. I believe you wanted us to touch on Nicolas Soler. We will talk about this. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, so don't worry. We'll cover everything. Boys, let's talk about Rafael Varane, right? There's some news coming out, quite solid news coming out saying that he's probably not going to be available for the second leg. I'll go to you this time, AMEYA. AMEYA, I'm not really concerned about Rafael Varane. I'm more thinking Eder Militao was probably the more blockbuster of a defender. I was very, very impressed by his game against us. There's all these rumors that we're heavily linked with Rafael Varane. So is Man United. We're looking to get a CB. I'm not really sure why when we're defensively so solid at the moment and we've got such depth. We've got such great youngsters as well that could come in and learn from someone like Thiago Silva and players like Andres Christensen. They're doing so well. So, I'm not really sure whether that's the priority, but we are linked with it. We are linked with Rafael Varane. But what's your thoughts, man? I mean, are you worried? Are you happy that he's not there, or are you not bothered? Because as I said, for me, it's more Militao. That's more of a crazy one from their team. Sergio Ramos probably, look, it might be, he hasn't played yet, but he may just come into the frame straight away because Rafael Varane's not there. But what's your thought about the whole situation?
Yeah, I think the last part which you mentioned is what catches my attention. It's not that Rafael Varane is going to be missing. It's that Sergio Ramos is back. I mean, he is, you could say that he probably won't be, up to his regular match fitness, or his mentality levels probably might not be there, but he is a monster in the UEFA Champions League. Yeah. He is a winner. And when such a player is coming back, I think one of Militao or Varane probably would have dropped out anyway. I don't think they're going to start three at the back this time because they know that they're at the back foot coming into the game.
Well, they got to come at us. They have to come at us.
Exactly. And especially with them having Fulham and Mendy back as well, I think that he can hold his ground in the back four. Marcelo was pretty, I don't know how to say, he's pretty sus defensively, which is why I think he did go with three at the back. But I think that Mendy coming in, they're definitely going to start at four at the back. And as you mentioned in the last game, Eder Militao actually had a better game than Rafael Varane. And that's no disrespect to Varane. I still think that he's a pretty great centre-back. But at the same time, if Militao can perform like he did against us in the last match, then I don't see any reason why Real Madrid should miss him. I think Ramos and Militao would be a perfectly good combination. And if it works, then credit to them. But hopefully our attackers are up to it and we can break them down.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. KISHAN, it was a very, very funny comment from Thomas Tuchel when asked that, perhaps, Sergio Ramos will be back. I mean, are you worried that you may play without a striker again because we've been playing with a false nine? And he's like, I'm not worried. It may be a good thing because Sergio Ramos won't have anyone to mark. So it's a good thing for us to have. If he has someone to mark, then it becomes very difficult for us. So I just love the way Tuchel just has a different spin on everything. But what's your take on the whole Varane situation? Maybe Sergio Ramos coming back. Are you looking at it like the way AMEYA is looking, that it is a solid experience, absolute warlord coming back into the Real Madrid team?
I don't think you can look at it any other way. Like he has given us enough reason. He's not even probably. I think he's like the best of his generation. When you look at what he's achieved in his career, you can't look past him. The man's a monster. So
I think he's won it all, hasn't he? World Cup,
literally World Cup,
Champions League, La Liga,
a few Euros as well. Yeah,
Euros as well. Man has won it all.
And it's like, it's not even like he's the side piece of winning it all. He scored a goal in the 90th minute to make it go to extra time and stuff like that. Yeah, he's brilliant. So not looking forward to seeing him back in the lineup. So he's a monster. But the Varane news, like AMEYA said, it's like I know he's out, but there's bigger fish to fry with Ramos. That it doesn't even seem to matter. And I'm really annoyed that Ferland Mendy's back, because Marcelo was so poor last week, and I just hope Ferland Mendy's not feeling up to fully, like
just on that,
to the
bro,
level. Yeah.
If Ferland Mendy is back, because he has been injured, let's just assume that he will probably start, knowing that Real Madrid's got to go for this. Do you guys want Azpilicueta to again feature as a right wing back? Because funny thing is happening lately where he's playing as a right wing back. I'll go with you first of all, KISHAN.
I don't want to see Azpilicueta in the starting 11 for this game, actually.
Oof.
I think...
Nah, you know that's
harsh. That's
not
harsh.
going to happen. But
I don't know, because I feel as though Tuchel was slowly possibly phasing him out with that back three that he's got. And I think he's got Christensen on that right centre back.
Some are actually saying this.
But he is... Tuchel is a massive advocate of this captain that Azpi is. He seems to love him as a captain and stuff. So that's why I'm not so sure on that. But it's just, I know in terms of the leadership option, Azpi is huge. But if you've got Ferland Mendy on that side, I'd rather have Reece going up against him, I think.
Yeah,
giving something the other way. I really thought we missed out on a trick when Marcelo was playing in terms of not having Hudson-Odoi. If you had Hudson-Odoi going at him there, I think we could have done something a bit. So I'm just hoping Ferland Mendy's not back, but there is pictures of him and Ramos training, which suggest I think they will be in there. But maybe you have to look at the other side and Carvajal not being there. And I've not seen too much of Odriozola, but he doesn't seem like a complete liability. So it's a bit of a sticky one. But like I said, I don't want to see Azpi as the right wing back again. I think he struggled last time against Madrid. And
well, Vinicius did the number on him a couple of times in that game. But, look, the thing about Azpi is he always gives you 7.5, ends up giving you a 7.5. He's solid in defense. He knows his awareness. But, I mean, then again, boys, we're literally a clean sheet away from getting into the final. We're just a clean sheet away from getting into the final. AMEYA, what's your thoughts, man? You want to see Azpi in that position? And we've got here, Why Always Football. Thank you so much for your comment. I don't think Ferland Mendy is going to start. That's what he's thinking. But if he does start, how do you feel about the whole Azpilicueta thing?
I think that Azpilicueta has to start this. I'm not Azpilicueta's biggest fan, but as you mentioned, he gets the job done and he gives it his all every game, right? I mean, his all has probably declined a little bit, but you can still see the passion, the desire in his, every tackle he makes, he gets up and then he pats the person next to him, he bangs his hand on the ground.
He's the captain, bro. He's El Capitan.
Exactly. And you need that sort of thing in the lineup. I don't think if Reece James goes and clatters some fellow, I don't think he's going to get up and bang the ground. He's just going to get up and get on with this game. I mean,
he will clatter him.
He will clatter him. That's true. But I think for a Champions League semi-final, I just don't think you can leave out your captain. That's my thoughts on it. Exactly. And with regards to the formation stuff, I think he will start right wing back because he didn't even play against Fulham. So I think that Thomas Tuchel will probably start him in the right wing back position. Personally, for me, I think that right centre back is his best position because he also offers that threat going forward. But I think he's going to start at right wing back. And I think Tuchel's priority is obviously going to be to keep the clean sheet.
Yeah, 100% right. 100% right.
One more thing is because he's playing Real Madrid and I think he'll want that extra height in the defense, like he said, like last time. So you probably would have Christensen right centre back. But I hope that doesn't. I don't know. If Azpi plays, I want it to be in that position and that position only, though.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're right.
I'm not sure.
Boys, do you remember when we were talking about, is it going to be Azpi? Is it going to be Thiago Silva? It's like Thomas Tuchel looked at the whole situation and said, you know what? Nah, both of them. Both. How about that? Both starts.
And Christensen.
It's like Christensen and Thiago Silva will start and Azpilicueta. I'm going to have it all because I can't decide. You can't decide. I can't decide either. So they all start. Ladies and gentlemen, 53 people on live right now. Smash that like button if you're enjoying this Chelsea news bonanza. We're going to talk about whole heap of other things right now. So take that opportunity to smash that like button. Helps out the channel a lot, helps out the video. Boys, the next piece of news that I want to talk about is the whole thing about Kovacic and Rudiger, both in a bit of an injury cloud. Kovacic is one that is categorically being dismissed by Thomas Tuchel that he's not going to make this game. He's picked up another slight little setback. He was on track to come back on the Fulham game. There was a little bit of setback where Kovacic said that he's not feeling completely right, so he's not going to play this game. And Tony Rudiger, what Tuchel is saying that he should be back. He's practicing with a mask on. I can't remember exactly. Apparently, he copped that injury from the first leg against Real Madrid. I don't even remember where he copped a face injury. Do you guys remember what happened to him?
It was probably the last few minutes of the game where he won the foul right before the final whistle.
Right.
There's a picture of it. There's a specific picture.
I think it was Odriozola who blocked him.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he's been practicing with a mask on, and he completely believes that Rudiger should be back playing this particular match. I'll start with you, Kishan. We'll go with the no Kovacic situation. I feel like there are certain parts in the game you go, kind of miss Kovacic, man. That's the spot where Kovacic would just, take the ball from deep and cut through the middle and really open things up, right? And then you see someone like Kante with the ball, and then he's, spraying some crazy passes everywhere, and it's not going nowhere, right? Kante gets into some juicy situation. Don't get me wrong, Kante, fantastic the way he defends, breaks down the play, but then he gets into juicy positions where you feel like maybe Kovacic would have been all right if he was there, right? Do you feel? I mean, there could be a situation in this match where we may miss a player like Kovacic. Are you 100% certain that Kante and Jorginho will take care of it?
Both. So, like Thomas Tuchel said,
you know what that tells you? You know what that tells you? That we don't have a complete midfielder. Like something is always lacking.
For sure. And Thomas Tuchel said it himself after that. We did miss cover. We got into some scenarios where he'll break away from a midfield. And we had so many scenarios where it looked like we were like 3-on-2, 3-on-3. And you got Kante. The thing with Kante is he plays a really simple pass, or you'll see him sort of go into one corner and play a really simple pass. And you're like, oh, if only we could have been a bit more decisive there. So that's what we'll miss from cover. But I can't say every single time we miss one piece of the midfield, it just seems like the other two always are brilliant. And you're like, oh, okay, so we didn't miss out on that much. Because ideally, if Cover was there, I don't know about you guys, but who would you drop for him? Because you need Jorginho at the same time as well. So it's such a sticky one.
Like, you can't drop Kante, can you?
You can't drop Kante. Yeah. But then you look back at the first leg against Atletico, and Georgie and Cover were brilliant together. So it's just, there's no winning, but obviously to have one of these options from the bench would have been brilliant. And possibly, I think when he brings one of them on from the bench, they do get to play all three of them at the same time. So we will miss him, but I think the level we'll miss him depends heavily on the attackers. If we're more efficient, like we could have been against Real Madrid, then I don't think we would miss him as much. It's more when Kante gets into those advanced positions that we think, oh, possibly if Cover was there. And one thing about the Rudiger thing, I want to say, people should be used to doing things with masks on, so he should be fine as well.
We shouldn't laugh, but that was a good one. That was a good one, Kishan. We should be used to. We should be used to. I mean, football shouldn't be any other way. I mean, AMEYA, let's assume, for argument's sake, we weren't able to get Rudiger fit for that match. I don't look, anything facial you should be able to, as Kishan said, you just put a mask on, man. I mean, we've seen Cesc Fabregas play with a mask. We saw John Terry play with a mask. Costa played with a, I mean, you move on, do you know what I mean? You just move on with a mask, right? But if by any chance we don't have him, I feel like Rudiger, we don't have a solid left centre back like him. Like, he's made that role. I know Zuma's done a bit of a job against Fulham, but then again, he was awful against West Brom. A lot of the players were awful against West Brom. But Not having Rudiger, if that's the case, that would be very detrimental, don't you think?
Yeah, it would be horrifying. I think everyone keeps saying that Christensen has been our best defender since Tuchel came in, but I think Rudiger's been so underrated.
For me, Rudiger.
Exactly. Rudiger's been almost, if not even above Christensen's level ever since Thomas Tuchel's taken over. So he's been very disrespected, mainly because he was probably Lampard's fourth or fifth choice centre back.
Matt Law ruined him. There you go, bro. Matt Law, if you're watching this stream, bro, you killed his career, man. I hate you for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people hated Rudiger because of that. But now that he's back in the side, and he's actually done a brilliant job, and I think that he's made this position his, like you mentioned, and not only the defensive side. I think the way he drifts into midfield at times, gives a numerical advantage in midfield, because we have just two, right? And for teams that play a 3-man midfield, I think it sometimes gets pretty hard. So Rudiger sometimes does go there as well to help out, and sometimes he makes those darting runs forward, it's all hands all over the place, and he's just running forward as well. So I really think that we'll get to that soon, man.
We'll get to that. I was just gonna say, live chat. We have this. This coming. We have this to calm down. We have this coming. 100%.
Yeah, I watched the match as well, so we have that covered, boys. Chill. But yeah, I think Rudiger's really made that role his, and he would be a huge miss. And Zuma, I think, could come in and do a job. Or in fact, I think Christensen could play there as well, because Thomas Tuchel in his press conferences, he said so many times that Christensen can play anywhere in the back three. He excelled in the middle, but I think since Thiago Silva came back, then he went to the right. Now he's excelling on the right as well. So I wouldn't be too surprised if it could probably be Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva, and Christensen as well. I don't know, but I think he should be fit. I think Tuchel was very confident that he's gonna make the game, and I think the Fulham game, he could have made the Fulham game as well, in my opinion. But then Tuchel's like, what? Let's just give him a rest. So I think that he sat out that game, and I think he should be back for this one. If not, it has to be Zuma. Really, we don't have any other option. And if I could just quickly talk about the N'Golo Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho situation. Last season, right? I mean, Kovacic was literally our player of the year. But if you look at the statistical analysis of it, Jorginho and Kante were our best pivot. So I think that it's a very messed up situation, and we don't have one complete midfielder, and that's a bit of an issue. I think everyone has.
How crazy is that? I just clocked that. Kovacic is the player of the season, yet Kante and Jorginho were the best pivot.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's mad. It's mad, and I think that's the issue we have with our midfield. It's so imbalanced at the moment, but hopefully we should be getting the job done. And I think Kante got into so many promising positions in the last game, and you could hear the commentators saying that Kante had Real Madrid on strings, right?
Yeah.
He got free and ran ahead so many times. And if that was Kovacic, we would have probably been in a better situation. But for argument's sake, you could also say that Kovacic might not have won the ball there, because N'Golo Kante's understanding of the game is so much better than Kovacic's. You can see Kovacic doesn't track back so many times. He's not in the right place on several occasions. I mean, his ball carrying ability is probably one of the best in the world, but he lacks on other things. So you really can't predict what's going to happen when you put two out. And thankfully, it's not our headache.
You know what, AMEYA? That's such a good point that you just raised about Kante. That he doesn't have that output.
Yeah.
But Kovacic doesn't get into that position to win the ball. And then, do you know what I mean? Like, Kovacic generally gets the ball, then beats a couple of players, and then drives through. Whereas Kante actually wins the ball, intercepts, and then drives through.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing. And I know I'm going to start another little argument here when I say this. This is the same thing that I've been saying about Timo Werner. There's a lot of people that will keep saying, "Oh, why doesn't Tammy start? He's our top goal scorer. Why doesn't he start?" Yeah, he may be a good finisher. He's probably a better finisher than Timo Werner. But I don't think Tammy gets into those positions like the way Timo does. Timo just has this knack of getting into the position. The issue with Timo is he can't finish. That's the issue. He just gets into... But I don't think Tammy would get into those areas the way Timo does. But that's for another day. We won't talk about that. It's a whole other kettle of fish. I want to now talk about Ashley Cole's comments on Mason Mount, and also Thomas Tuchel's comment on Mason Mount. Thomas Tuchel goes on to say that he's he's a complete package. He's a package footballer. And the best thing about Mason Mount is the fact that he doesn't let praise get to his head. You know, he gets praised by a lot of people. He's even getting praised internally, like by Thomas Tuchel and his own peers and everybody. He doesn't let that get to his head. Ashley Cole goes on to say he shows that enthusiasm day in, day out. I think that's what makes him, for me, one of the top players in the world football right now, definitely in the Premier League. Of course, he's vital for Chelsea. I want to talk to you both about this. Kishan, I'll go to you first of all. This player has been blowing my mind, bro. Honestly, he's blowing my mind. Before the start of this season, I did pencil him down as one of the players that will have a mad development. But even for me, he's blown my mind. I did not expect him to be developing at such a pace. I even said when Thomas Tuchel came in that Mason Mount could be one of those players, could get hurt, maybe be in the bench a lot more. Technically, he's got to improve. But bro, he has become Thomas Tuchel's MVP. I don't think Thomas Tuchel starts a team sheet without putting Mason Mount as one of his first one there, right? His pressing, his counter-pressing, his passing now, his assists for Kai Havertz for Fulham. Yeah. What about that control, long ball control? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Oh, my days. He's scoring goals. Kishan, I've been saying, he's probably amongst some of the best midfielders in the Premier League right now. And I think next season he'll be, if he continues this growth the way he is, he'll be top 3 midfielders in the Premier League. Is that how you look at it?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, you do earmark him as one of those players. But before the season, because we signed Havertz, it was this massive Havertz will take over. We knew he wasn't going to take over his place because we had Frank in charge. But you always thought Mason might get a bit lost. But that elite mentality that he has is you just back him to do everything that he puts his mind to. Like when Tuchel came in and he was on the bench for the first game, he came in for the 10 minutes, and as soon as he did that turn, that is, I know RJ calls him the half-turn prince. When he did that half-turn, that was brilliant. I think from then, Tuchel must have saw and I thought, okay. And since he came into a team, he's undroppable. He's literally
what about first half Real Madrid? I've not seen an individual player literally annihilate that midfield. And people were laughing at me, Kishan, when it was you as well. I remember you DM me. It's like, bro, you said about Ziyech because I snuck in Ziyech.
No shot.
I snuck in Ziyech in there. But bro, you know how much crap I copped that day about having Mason Mount in the midfield instead of Modric. But bro, you saw what he did in that first 30 minutes, man. Mason Mount dribbling through Real Madrid's midfield like it was non-existent.
This is the thing with him, like how far he's come in a year. Because I remember when we drew Bayern last season and you had him playing against Bayern, he did look out of place in that team. The whole team looked out of place. Yeah. And he came out at the end of the game and said, well, I have found like what I need to do to get to that next level. Because he was playing against Thiago and he was like, in the mind, that guy is just one step ahead of you. He's doing stuff. And then this season he goes and plays Atletico, and I just in that game, remember when he skipped past a few players, he left Felix on the floor. He just looked like he's arrived and he was there. He was like, I am Mason Mount, and he can literally stick it with the best players young players around now. And like as an England fan as well, like having him, and I know everyone says Foden, but I feel like he doesn't get as much credit for his technical excellence. Obviously, he's always had the work rate and the pressing. That's why I thought initially when Tuchel came in, he'd be fine because of the gegenpress. He'd be fine with that side of it. So he was always going to be appreciated. But for the stuff on the ball that he does, his half turns, no one can match that.
Bro, he's killing players with the half turns, bro. He's literally killing them.
And it was like under Lampard, this is the player that I thought initially was. And then he kind of dropped that dynamic where he didn't seem as dynamic. It always seemed like we had to get the ball to Pulisic to dribble past someone and stuff. And he seems like he's kind of come back to that in that advanced role that he plays now. that he can get the ball on the half turn. He's taking more shots now as well, especially against West Ham. He had a few pops from far, and strikers can only benefit from that. If you had Werner, if he taps that in, you're not got an assist, but you've kind of made a goal. So it's like, by doing all these things that he's implementing, he can, every single game, he just seems to go up a notch, and I just hope it continues.
But
he's the captain of this club for the future. He's going to win us a lot.
Bro, undoubtedly. As I said, everything that you've mentioned, everything that I've mentioned, and then add captain as well. He's a leader. Do you know what I mean? I don't get goosebumps talking about too many players, bro. I'm telling you, there are very special players that I get goosebumps talking about them. I'm starting to get goosebumps talking about this player.
Another thing is, remember against Newcastle when Timo Werner missed a sitter the first time we played him away from home, and you had Mason on the pitch telling him, "You've got to be scoring."
You got to put him away.
That's the thing. Like, this guy's coming for 50 million quid, and he had a reputation for being world class. In terms of, if we were signing a striker, Werner was right up there in terms of the names that teams would be going for. This is a world class striker, and this was when he's not seen as that bit of a clown when missing these chances. You had Mason telling him, "You need to be putting those away if we want to get to where we need to be."
Deep, bro. That's deep
mentality.
Yeah. That's absolutely deep. AMEYA, man, honestly, what's the limit for this player, bro? Like, do you think, I mean, touch wood, that he stays healthy, that he continues this way? Bro, I think 22, AMEYA, he's going to be Chelsea's player of the year, hands down, right?
Yeah.
Where do you go from there, do you know what I mean? Like, 22 Chelsea's player of the year.
I think he could very easily, in his prime, be the best midfielder in the world. You mentioned, do we think that he is top 3 in the Premier League now? He is. I mean, will he be top 3 in the future? I'm sorry. He is top 3 now. You look at all the stats, and you see 3 names constantly in every single stat: Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and the third name is Mason Mount. Right, and he is already top 3 midfielders in the league. I think Jack Grealish, sneaks in a couple of times as well, but when it comes to dribbles and stuff like that. But then these 3 players are consistent in every single statistic. You look at, shot creating actions, you look at key passes.
You know what, AMEYA? None of these 2, the other one, Bruno or KDB, are as good as Mason Mount defensively. Mason helps out in defense.
Yep. And that's one point which I actually wanted to bring up. I think under Lampard, he was improving as well, of course, first name on the team sheet as well. But under Tuchel, he's found the perfect role for him, because you see that system, right? That 5-2-3 or however you want to set it up, but 3-4-2-1, maybe, whatever name you call it. Mason Mount's role is so unique in that. It's because he plays on the left, and then his work rate is so incredible that when we're attacking, he's a winger, but when we're defending, he forms part of.
Kunal, shout out to you, my man. That's a top comment. Messi, CR7, Mount here, bro. Stop comparing the goats. Enjoy them while you can. Anyway, may I continue, my man?
The best part is we can enjoy Mount for a lot longer. But I think that the role is so perfect for him, because when we're defending, he drops into midfield and it becomes a 5-3-2, or he's sort of slightly ahead of the pivot, but he still forms part of midfield. But when we're attacking, he's right there in the wing, as a winger, and he's ready to pass to Chilwell, who's overlapping as well. So that role, I think, has really brought out the best of Mason Mount's energy, his pressing, his defensive awareness has improved as well, and he's evolved into a completely new player now. And I think, on the ball attributes are being underrated now because his other attributes are so good, because he's turning into a complete player at the age of 22, and there are not many who do that.
Full package, as Thomas Tuchel said.
And
full
literally.
package.
With him, another point is the grit that he has. It's just, I remember under Lampard, when we were losing 2-0 against Leicester, no one looked like they were trying. And I can't remember if it was Ndidi or someone, and I think it might have been Tielemans or someone, and they were doing fake shots, and Mount chased them 4 times. And it's stuff like that. Like, even if he gets beaten, he has it in his mind, no, I'm not. And he'll get up and he'll do it. I don't care. Sometimes you will get beaten like that, but just have that mentality to just come back and say, no, you know what, you're not going past me. And I agree with Rafael that I said he reminds me of more of a Steven Gerrard regen than Frank Lampard.
Yeah.
I agree with that massively.
Yeah.
He's way more Gerrard than he is Lampard. But the parallels with Lampard are also, I get, in terms of mentality, where everyone sort of writes you off with Frank, as they did. You're too fat, you won't be anything. And he just comes back. And then we make all these massive money signings of Havertz and Werner and stuff. And he's still the best player on the pitch every game. The only reason I could give Havertz man of the match was because he scored.
He's way ahead of Havertz, Ziyech, and Timo Werner.
He is way ahead of them. Because if we're talking about our team against Real Madrid, who knows if Havertz starts? But we can tell you Mount is going to start for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So true. So true. I can't remember which pundit this was, and they actually said what you just said, Kishan, and also AMEYA, that they believe he's a mixed breed of Lampard and Gerrard. Like he's a mix of both of them together, not one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Which makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got nearly 80 people live right now enjoying this Chelsea news bonanza. Smash that like button. Check out my panelists and their socials in the description right now. If you're enjoying what they're saying, look at these two. Honestly, they're football connoisseurs. That's all I'm going to say. Just go out there and follow them in social media, in football Twitter. Their information's in the description right now, and smash that like button while you're at it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now talk about Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz post-match came out and he was saying, I'm always desperate to start games. I play football, but I know we have a lot of quality players in the team and other players play well as well. I keep going, train hard, and give my best. We will see on Wednesday. Micha Richards then also commented in regards to Havertz, saying, we saw glimpses earlier this season why Chelsea paid big bucks for Havertz, but on Saturday he stamped his authority a little bit more. Now you see it slowly why he cost that much money. Chris Coleman was also another big statement for Kai Havertz. His deft touches and intelligence, knowing where and when to run. He's not flustered. He's still young. He's going to get better and better. It's hard. It's hard in your first season, but he has shown glimpses of top quality play. I'll go to you this time, AMEYA. AMEYA, we forget the fact that Kai Havertz is 21. He's actually younger than Mason Mount. Like we are saying Mason's young. Deep this. Kai is even younger. I want to now talk about the whole Kai Havertz situation with all the strikers that we're linked with. And I've been sort of drumming the beats lately that we need a 20-goal striker next season if you really want to compete for the Premier League. But Haaland seems out of reach, and there's talks that he's going to stay at Dortmund. And he's asking crazy wages, and his fee is just going to be ridiculous before the buyout clause. Lukaku categorically said, no, I just won the Inter Milan, Serie A. I'm very happy I'm staying here. Kudos to him. Harry Kane is the prop that my man KISHAN has been wanting me to talk about, and I've been doing my level best to do this prop, and I still believe Harry Kane. If any Tottenham fans that you're watching, please take this clip right now. Tell your man, stop the sentiments and stop all these other BS. Life, you only live once. Come to Chelsea, #1 London team, and you're going to win trophies with us. That's as simple as that. Next season, we are 100%. Thomas Tuchel, we are going to be chasing down Man City from day one. We're going to be hunting them down. So already this season, I feel like the gap is reducing. Yeah, in the table it's not, but the style and the kind of football that we're playing, we've already beaten them. Do you know what I mean? We've already beaten them once. So, and we've got them coming up in the weekend. So I'm pretty sure we should be able to beat them again. But going back to the point, Kai Havertz, I was going to call AMEYA Kai Havertz.
I don't mind, man. I don't mind. I'm good with it if you are.
Going back to the point, AMEYA, that are you okay to have Kai Havertz as your main striker if we do miss out on a striker next season? Do you see that maybe he could be the player like that could possibly give you the goals? I mean, he is a bit of a mixed breed between a little bit of Timo Werner, a little bit of, like a hold-up player like Giroud, has those really nice touches like Mason Mount as well. He's like a mixed breed, right? And he knows how to play that false nine. And I feel like he's more of a natural finisher. Yeah, he's missed a few as well, but not as many as Timo Werner. But I feel like he's more of a natural finisher than Timo Werner. How do you feel about Kai Havertz possibly being like a out-and-out striker next season?
I think the closest player to perform compare Kai Havertz to rather is Roberto Firmino. I think that dribbling, creating spaces, I'm not getting so many goals as you would expect a regular striker to. For example, Harry Kane, who's I don't think Havertz guarantees you that because he's so much more than that. And personally, I think he's played his best this season. I mean, with respect to the opposition, of course, it was Barnsley, I think, who we beat 5-0 or 6-0, was it, when he scored the hat-trick?
Yeah, 6-0, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. But I think that's his best position. I think playing off a striker is his best position. And I think that as it stands, the current formation that we play, I don't think that's possible. But I think I'm fairly certain that Thomas Tuchel is going to probably revert back to 4 at the back next season, depending on how we sign our players. I think the main reason is because of our midfield.
Do you think so? Do you think he'll break this up?
I mean, definitely do. I definitely
fix it if it's not broken, bro.
Yeah.
But we are lacking in attack. I mean, you can easily see that we're compensating our attacking fluidity for defensive stability.
By the way, have a look at the recent stats that's out, I think, in Fifth Stand. We are actually creating a lot of chances. We just don't put it away. You look at Real Madrid, bro. The first half, we should have been 3-0 up before they equalized. You look at against whoever recently that we've played, like, we should be scoring a lot more goals. It's just we don't put it away. But yeah, carry on, bro.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, that's my opinion, of course.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that I think that he will. The issue is we don't have that quality midfielder. No disrespect to our midfield. We just discussed this, in fact, earlier. But we don't have that one complete, exactly. We need a DM. We need someone like, just throwing out names, but like Declan Rice, like Tuchel, who I made a thread on from Monaco as well. So we need that sort of like NDD. I think Kunal is a big fan of NDD as well. That sort of a player alongside, and you can play a 4 at the back system, someone who screens the back 4. But with the current system, with the current midfielders at his disposal, that's not possible. But going back to the initial point, can Kai Havertz, play as the lone striker next season? I don't think so. I think we definitely, especially Giroud is leaving and Tammy seems to be on the way out as well, which I think it's the best for all parties. If he goes and has great success elsewhere, if we let both of them go, I definitely think we have to sign another striker. I'm not comfortable with just Havertz and Werner as our only 2 striking options. No,
fair point. KISHAN, my man, are you comfortable with Kai Havertz being the up front or Harry Kane? HK it is.
No chance of Kai Havertz over a season, I don't think, because I think just because he's got these 2 goals, we can't forget what's kind of happened before. He doesn't have that natural instinct to be in certain striker places. So that's where I agree with AMEYA that he does have that Bobby Firmino kind of thing about him, where he's not ruthless to get in. He's not going to knock someone out of the way to put the ball in the back of the net.
He's not a Lukaku.
He's that elegant.
He's not a Lukaku, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like Rafay said in the comments, he's coming out with some bangers, but he goes, he's like a Muller light. So
Muller light.
I get that just behind a striker could be his position, where I think in a season you'd probably want Havertz to contribute about 10 to 15 goals. And I think that's about right, with on top of his assists and intricate passing and that kind of stuff. If he could add that, yes, but I don't think he is a 20-goal striker. And I think right now we're making him into this false 9 striker because it's like, where else can we fit him in the system? We've paid 72 odd million quid for him. Where else can we put him? We actually, if we're maximizing him, we stick him there. Because we tried that behind as one of the 10s against Wolves, and he didn't really look brilliant at all. So, I think that's
the issue with him is, KISHAN, the Premier League, you cannot be a luxury 10. So AMEYA is right. Like he tends to play just like most of our players. Timo Werner likes to play with a solid number 9, and him just just behind him as a second striker. Kai Havertz is similar as well, but I guess Kai in the Premier League, he can't just be roaming around in the front. You have, there's no luxury. The Mesut Ozil days have gone, bro. The Mesut Ozil days, they're finished. That's why Ozil couldn't get an opportunity in Arsenal anymore. And there were other issues as well, political issues and whatnot. But one of the things that really got against Mesut Ozil is that he wasn't there defensive off the ball. Tuchel is all about off the ball. Like, you got to show the same intensity on the ball as you are off the ball as well. So that's the thing that Kai Havertz, if there is a striker, he needs to play just behind. He can't just be the luxury player that just does everything. Right now, Tuchel's got him doing a lot of stuff. Come deep in midfield, help out in midfield. When we're defending, you got to drop back. You got to drop back and help out in defense. Do you know what I mean? When we're attacking, you got to be in the right spot. So, Tuchel's asking a lot of stuff, from these players.
He's got that in him to. I don't think he's quite the same level of lazy as Mesut Ozil. He has got a bit more grit and determination about him, but again, it's not to the level. It's not something that you'd see him and he'd be known for compared to like watching someone else do it. So I do think, especially next season, if we sign a striker, it's going to be so hard to fit everyone in because you need Werner, who needs certain conditions, playing as a left forward and a striker to bounce the ball off. Then you need Havertz, who kind of needs that. But then you need Pulisic, who wants to be a winger. And it's just so much stuff. And
then we have not even touched about Mason Mount.
Mason
Mount. And then your boy Ziyech as well. Yeah, Mason Mount.
What about my boy Ziyech? You better stop, bro. Don't you dare, Kishan. I see you all the time. You leave my boy away.
We're going to turn him into a left back.
Bro, that's Jonathan, bro. Jonathan wanted him as a left wing back, remember?
I remember.
Jonathan, if you're still here, bro, that was a crazy thought, bro. I can't believe you ever said that. That disrespect. I want to talk more about this particular striker situation because Chris Coleman keeps talking. He had a lot of good stuff to say that match, bro, and I'm excited, bro. I need to talk about this. He goes around and says, I think Werner is going to score a hatful of goals next season. I really do. He's a constant threat. He's always running in behind and getting into areas where he can get chances. He never shies away. I think he will be really, really good Chelsea player. Here's the thing, guys. I tweeted something. I'm pretty sure you guys would have seen it recently. I said, if Timo Werner converts all the missing chances of this season, next season, with all the other things that he's done, won penalties, assisted, work rate, clever movement, the lot, he, for me, becomes the number one striker in the world. I mean, look at all the chances he's missed. If he converts 90% of it, on top of the assist and everything that he's done, how can you not say he's the number?
Big if, miss. But yeah,
I know. Big if. But let's just say, argument's sake, that he does. Boys, I can't imagine him doing this again next season, bro. Because I said it, bro. If he does this next season, I think we can't tolerate that, man. I don't think we can tolerate that. So, yes, it's a big if, but at the same time, I'm hoping he turns this around. And if he turns this around, for me, he becomes number one striker. So I'll go to you, AMEYA.
Mm-hmm.
Do you trust in him and say, if we don't get ourselves a top striker, we let go of Tammy and Giroud. Tammy and Giroud are probably going to leave very soon anyway. And we rely on Kai Havertz and Timo Werner to carry us. If Timo puts all of those away, are you confident to put your money on Timo Werner next season? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not comfortable with just him and Havertz. I think we need we need a different type of striker, a striker like Lukaku, a striker like Diego Costa. That's if we got a Diego Costa regen right now, we'd win the quadruple. But I just think that Werner, is he a good player? Absolutely. Is he an excellent player? I would go as far as saying yes, because I was a huge fan of Werner. And if you remember, we were doing our TBS videos back in the day. And I was such a huge fan of Werner. I've been following him for 2-3 years since Leipzig. And I just love the player he is. But at the same time, he's been missing chances all his career. It's not a new thing. He just had a lot more chances at Leipzig. And with no disrespect to Werner, I still love him. And he's having a bit of a tough season. And I still don't think he's going to convert 90% of the chances, like you mentioned, but I think 50, 60, he's missing 80% of his big chances this season.
Yeah.
I think if he can just get that number down to even 30%, if he scores 70% of the big chances that he's missed.
My days.
Exactly.
My days.
I think
the thing is,
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Some of these, like one against Leeds, surely if you put him in that situation 100 times, that's the one time that kind of stuff would happen. The one against Leeds, you can't, like, you're on the goal line. Like, you can't. He's not that bad, if you get me.
What about the West Ham one, bro? What about the West Ham one?
That's a bit more complex. But yeah,
Thomas Tuchel fell from the sky, bro.
Like AMEYA was saying, we need this. In terms of a goal scoring, he's just really not been there, because I was so excited by having this different profile of a striker, because we've never had this really quick sort of striker. And then last season, you see players like Aubameyang doing really well, and you start thinking, oh, okay, he's good. If Werner gets his space to run in behind, we're going to be brilliant. But then he's just not quite done it for us. But he's brought so much extra that even if a new striker comes in, it's not necessarily his place that the striker is going to be taking. So maybe Werner can get you goals from a little left forward position and get you. Imagine getting him at a higher conversion rate. So he gets you around 15 goals, and then you've got this 20 goal a season striker. And that's where AMEYA came in and said, with our formation, I feel like the shackles do need to come off a bit in games where we could get 4 or 5 goals, because we have players that are that good that we should be slapping 4 or 5 past teams at times.
No, absolutely agreed, boys. I mean, just quickly on this, thank you so much, Tuchel stuff, for this super chat. Kai needs to decide on what he actually is, a 10 or a 9. The Premier League has little room these days for in-betweeners. I think the in-betweeners are really happening just as a makeshift at the moment. I think the boys are right. And I think Thomas Tuchel realizes this as well, that he needs a striker. I think there was a comment here from Declared saying, Miz, do you think Tuchel, just this one. Miz, do you think Tuchel and Chelsea believe that too and won't get a strike in the off-season? I think they will, man. As much as I'm just trying to think from a different perspective, boys, that all the rumors that we have at the moment, Harry Kane's nearly impossible. I hope it wasn't. I really hope it wasn't.
We should touch on that one.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Honestly, let's talk about this. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. Me personally, boys, I've got no time for like sentiments. I've got no time for this loyalty stuff. Bro, we're in 2021, man. There's no loyalty anymore. There's no loyalty. It's not
19... He's got to pull a Courtois.
Yeah, there's no 1960s, 70s, and 80s. Oh, I got to be loyal. No, there's none of that. Do you know what I mean? If I'm Harry Kane, I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking I am the best Premier League striker, and I probably don't want to leave this particular league because this league is phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? I want to go to a team where I can possibly win trophies, start winning from next season. I can't waste another season. I've got to win. How old's Harry Kane, bro? Like 28?
I think he's 28, yep.
He will be 28 in that window.
He needs to start winning. He needs to start winning. He's probably got another max 2 years of solid peak levels of football, and then he'll start declining, right? From the age of 30, you probably start declining. If I'm Harry Kane, I look at Man City. I wouldn't even think about Man United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing a bit of madness. They're in Europa League. They're probably going to win that. But I don't think they're any shot of winning the league next season. Man City, yes, under Pep Guardiola. But I feel like our team is going to take over that team. I feel like we're in the trajectory to take over. So do you go to a team that is probably already peaked? I don't know. Pep is always going to be there and thereabouts. I know. But I feel we're going to go into the golden generation very, very soon again. Our players are so young. You look at Kai Havertz, 21. Do you know what I mean? Younger than Mason Mount. You got Callum and Doyle and all of that. Timo Werner's only 24. So if I'm Harry Kane, F you to the sentiments. I would tell my agent, I'll go get me that deal to Chelsea. I don't really care what my fans think, man. I've given you everything. I've given you guys everything, man. Like, leave me alone now. I want to win some trophies. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm pretty sure Chelsea will get their back pocket out and pay whatever they. Bro, you're telling me if the agent of Harry Kane goes to Roman's going to say no?
No, I think the main issue there, if I could just intervene, is not going to be Roman. It's not going to be his agent. It's probably not going to be Harry Kane. It's going to be Daniel Levy. And I remember seeing this on Twitter. Someone had tweeted it out. I don't remember who, but a similar thing happened to Luka Modric. And he was so close to joining Chelsea. Apparently, he met with Abramovich on his yacht as well. But Daniel Levy just did not allow that transfer to go through. And he's like, you know what? You go to Real Madrid. I don't care, but you're not going to Chelsea. And I think
AMEYA, why, bro? Why? The money should matter at the end. Why?
I don't know, man. I don't know what goes in that Daniel Levy's head, but I think that this season could be different because they're probably going to suffer a huge loss, paying off Mourinho, probably going to miss out on Champions League football as well. So this season, he might think differently, but in any other season, I think Daniel Levy just does not allow that transfer to go through. He would sell him to City without a second thought. Like Chelsea offered him 150 million.
I don't understand, AMEYA. I just don't get how he lets City get it, who are still a rival, and they'll go out and blow Tottenham. Honestly, Harry Kane will absolutely plummet with Man City. They will plummet Tottenham. So I don't. Anyway, but continue, bro.
Us.
Yeah, go on, KISHAN.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to. The thing is, AMEYA, with that thing, I know a lot of people touch on the Modric point, but I feel like with different players, it's actually a different scenario. With Harry Kane, he's so English that you can't see him in another league. Like, I know people might say Paris Saint-Germain or Real Madrid. I'm pretty sure Harry Kane just wants to stay in England. And it's like quite clear. So Modric had that kind of thing where they didn't let him sign for Chelsea, but as a European player, the world's his oyster. And you saw that a year later, Madrid wanted him. He might have taken less money, but I think if Real Madrid want Kane, Kane might not necessarily leave for them. If it came in, I think he's just so much, and he wants to do well in this league. And then it comes to that point about London where he's got a settled family and he doesn't really want to leave London, is what reports are saying. So I think with that kind of stuff, if you have to test Spurs' resolve, and you'd have to kind of get him to tell Spurs, I want to go to Chelsea, which would be a hard point. But he doesn't strike me as someone who's madly loyal to Tottenham. It's more the scenario that he used to be an Arsenal fan, so he was an Arsenal fan. Then he's been at Tottenham just all of his life. So now people think that he's got this mad loyalty towards Spurs. But a few years ago, he did come out and say, the main thing for me is trophies. And if I don't win trophies, it's not like that I'm absolutely going to stay here. I might look to move on. So I don't think he has that extreme loyalty.
A few years ago, just a few days ago, wasn't there a video, or was that a few years ago's video? There was a video from Football Daily or something like that. Those guys that put on all these mad videos. And Harry Kane was saying that he would hate to finish up his footballing career with no silverware. Great as all of these individual accolades, I think he's very close to like Alan Shearer's record and whatnot, and in the Premier League. He said it. He goes, it don't matter. It don't matter one bit. Do you know what I mean?
But the one point is, another point is I know you say that he'd be happier to sell him to Man City, but Chelsea and Spurs have a historic rivalry over the years that you can't discount, like, in terms of that. But I know what you mean. Like, it feels like we're so beyond that kind of point, and you don't really see them as rivals because you're like, they peaked a few years ago when they got to a Champions League final, and then since then it's just come down, and it's not at a point where you feel like you're rivals with them, especially now, because you feel like they're going to get picked off one by one, where like Kane will end up somewhere. Someone should really go. Is Spurs going to challenge for the Premier League title, bro? And people talk about trophies. Kane, like, a little Carabao Cup, even if he won a Carabao Cup, that shouldn't be enough to keep him. An FA Cup really shouldn't be enough to keep him.
Nah.
Kane is so good that he needs to be winning the two main trophies, the Premier League and the Champions League. You have to at least be competing for them. Even if you're on top of your game, you compete. If you don't get there, like Gerrard, he never got there, but he still had a few seasons of competing for that trophy. Some players will never get Champions League, but you still compete for it. Kane needs to go to that level, and I guess we are competing for them. Maybe not the league this year, but we're in a semi-final. We've got a chance to getting through to the final, and FA Cup pretty much before it starts every year. I feel like we have a massive shot of winning it. We're always there. We're in the final 4 out of 5 years.
I love this comment. Honestly, I mean, this is the comment that I wanted to share with you as well. There's no rivalry. We can't beef with bums. It's exactly what Kishan was saying. Look, all jokes aside, AMEYA, are Spurs actually going to challenge for the Premier League next season?
Definitely not. I think Mourinho was probably their best shot.
Yeah, I suppose they're not even going to be in the Champions League. So
yeah,
I don't know what sort of a rival they are. I get the history and all of that, everything that Kishan has said, but this is what I'm saying. 2021. It's like the whole. I don't want to get political here, right? But it's like, I shouldn't maybe say this, but I want to bring this up. The whole India-Pakistan, for example, let's just say, I know it's deep, right? The whole India-Pakistan, even Bangladesh-Pakistan, that's deep. But I feel like saying sometimes it's 2021, ladies and gentlemen. It's 2021. Like, come on. Can we get over? I'm probably going to get shot for this. I know a lot of people will probably take this very too hard. Like, the deep rivalries between India, Pakistan, or Pakistan, Bangladesh is very, very deep. Like, we fought against Pakistan to win our land. I get that. But I feel like we need to move on, man. We need to move on. Like,
this is the thing with Spurs, though. Like, when I started watching football and stuff, I didn't really know, like, they were, in terms of size of club, they do have history. But it's like, I feel like they've had 2 world-class players that have propelled them to a level of top 4, and then they think they should be winning the league. They had it with Gareth Bale and Modric kind of time, where they were literally like, a normal mid-table team, and then they sort of took them to top 4. And then, obviously, when Bale left, they came out of that. And then, luckily, they didn't even buy Harry Kane. He was just a made product. But
it just happened.
They replaced him so poorly. But then Harry Kane turned out to be world-class, propelled them to that level. But then if he goes now, you'd expect them to sort of fall back to Europa level. But their fans, because they got to the final and stuff, and they've been so close, they expect them to constantly be there, where Tottenham are not really that club.
Yeah.
Whereas
they
we
never
under
were, bro.
Abramovich,
Never were.
One crazy stat with us and Abramovich is, since he's been there, we've not gone more than 1 season trophyless. So we had 1 trophyless season.
Yeah.
We will never be 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can, like, if Harry Kane is looking at that,
like,
and
how
his
is it comparable?
career
How
doesn't,
is it comparable?
Yeah, like his career doesn't have trophies, and you come to a place that guarantees a trophy at least every 2 years. Go to City, it's probably every year. Carabao at least every year. But it's like, how can you look past that kind of stuff? From him, this is the point with him. It's like, you Harry Kane, like yourself, you need to come out and know what you want and just say it. None of this, like, I get you want to be the Spurs legend or whatever, but your career is for yourself. Sol Campbell wouldn't have got anywhere just staying at Spurs. People can call him a snake all they want. He left and he became an Arsenal legend. Go somewhere else and become a legend.
Yeah,
absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. I think the live chat's a bit rattled after that conversation. We're going to swiftly move on. Before we get into other things, I think we do need to talk about the Chelsea women. Shout out to the Chelsea women. Honestly, look, I need to be honest. I barely get time to see any other football besides Chelsea men's football. I don't even get to see too much of the other clubs or anything like that. Family, kids, and this and that. It's just work. I just don't have the time. But Chelsea women, obviously, Amir, do you want to share the news? I think they've got into the Champions League finals, I believe. Yeah?
Yep. They did it. What a performance as well. I watched the game and incredible. I think there's like a couple of Emma Hayes videos, not from the previous match against Wolfsburg, and the way she instructs her players, she literally tells them every single thing. You can hear it. And she tells Sam Kerr, you press the defender, and then after that, exactly, those three are legendary. And then after that, she tells Harder to drop back, and she tells Kerr to press the DM, and she says that so many times. Every single move is meticulously monitored by Emma Hayes, and she is an absolute inspirational person, inspirational woman, and hats off to her and our players as well. Fran Kirby. I actually started following Chelsea women's team like 3 or 4 seasons back when Kirby was at her best, and then she of course had to take a break from football because of her chronic injury situation. But then she's come back this season, and she is outshone Pernilla Harder, who is one of the best players in Europe. I mean, we signed her for a record transfer fee, and that's going fine.
Disrespect. This vibe. Yeah, I love the live chat. Live chat's crazy like that, man.
Yeah,
they're not wrong.
Apples and oranges.
By the way, AMEYA is a massive Lampard fanboy. Look, Lampard.
We all should be.
Lampard is one of my favorite, players, but as a manager, he has a lot to still develop. First season, nonetheless, fantastic. But anyway, different story. Go on, Amir.
Yeah, I think Fran Kirby's another inspirational figure as well. She was probably one of the best players in the Premier League, and then she had a chronic health situation for which she had to take a few months off, but then she's come back and outshone literally the best player, one of the best players in Europe, in Pernilla Harder. And I just think that there's so many players there who are such inspirational figures, and I really think that all of us should be watching. If you've got the time, I think it's easily accessible, especially the Champions League games. They're free to watch on YouTube, right? So we really should be paying more attention to them, because we really do have one of the best squads in Europe and in the world, of course, in Europe at the moment, because we have made it to the final for the first time. We did lose, I think, to Lyon, was it, in the semi-finals a couple of seasons back, and that was as close as we'd got. But then this season,
have they won it before, AMEYA, the Champions League, the women?
No.
Okay. This is the first time we've made the final, and we're facing Barcelona. I think Barcelona women's team in the final. So shout out to them as well. So there's no Lyon this time. Lyon are in fact one of the best women's teams.
And Barcelona good? The women's team, Barcelona?
Yeah, I think they're decent. I have it. Women's football, I mainly watch just Chelsea and
yeah. It's hard Chelsea to know about the other leagues.
Yeah.
Are we favourites though?
I think so. I mean, ideally, Emma Hayes is such a brilliant tactician. I mean, we completely blew Wolfsburg out of the water in the quarterfinals. Lyon and Wolfsburg are like the two, top women's teams. And then Wolfsburg as well, I think, what a performance. I think, you look at the scoreline, it was 3-0 in the second leg, and it wasn't a 3-0 game at all. We defended for our lives. But then once the ball went through, you can always count on Kirby, Harder, and Kerr to get the goals. And I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Who's the Aussie, by the way?
Sam Kerr.
Sam Kerr. She's huge here, man. She is.
And she is 1/8 Indian as well. So we're also going to
get out of here, bro. Trying to claim an Aussie. Classic Indians, bro. They want to try and claim. Pretty soon they're going to say Steve Smith. Steve Smith is 1/8 Indian, bro. Why don't you just say
him? Not him.
But yeah, Kishan, my man. Do you follow much of the women's league?
Yeah, like AMEYA said, I don't tend to watch the live games, but the highlights are easily accessible even on normal TV. So I even caught the game that they played against Man City, and that was the title decider. And the keeper made a magical save. Like, it was insane save. Yeah.
Well, just recently, wasn't there a video, Kishan, where there was a header and the
it must have been that. Yeah.
That's the game. That's the City game. In fact, that's the game where she made that.
Finished 2-2, didn't it? So they were hanging on by the end of their lives. And then I just love Emma Hayes' interviews as well. They asked her, like, they were asking her football questions about it. She was like, I don't care, to be honest. We just held on and we're gonna win. Her interview yesterday was brilliant as well. The emotion that she showed in that interview. And obviously, all the Thomas Tuchel stuff came out about her as well, where she was like, I met Thomas Tuchel, and she was like, it's just this place we just speak about winning, and it's great if both teams can do it. But
let me just quickly tell you. Let me quickly tell you what she said. I had a lovely encounter with Tuchel. He's a fantastic guy, a really open-minded, progressive coach. There's a reason why the men's team are performing like they are, and if we can mirror that success side by side, how fantastic that would be.
We need to mirror their side, because they're in the final and stuff. They're winning the league. We need to.
They're on course to win the league and Champions League in one season.
Wow,
aren't they? Wow. Are we on course for 6 trophies?
Yep, I think there's a lot of this, like a Continental Cup and so many trophies.
6. Barca claims 6, so we can claim 6 as well.
Madness.
Huge. It's insane. And it's like
very inspirational side.
A big compliment to her. She gets linked with like men's roles where people say she could be the first one to go into that.
Live chat was just saying FC Wimbledon just a moment ago, so that she had.
I think she came out in an interview and said, no, like, I'd rather stay here. And I do get that. It's like, stay at Chelsea, build a legacy, and get to because if you were coming into a men's game, you have to start at a Wimbledon, and there's no need. Like, you're getting the success in the women's game. You're the best there. Stay there.
Yep. And I think 100%. It's a rarity in the women's game as well. Many of the best women's teams coaches are men, and it's very rare to see a woman manager in charge of a women's team. And I know we think that it should probably be more common, but it's not. And and
the Man City coach was a man. I remember watching the game.
Yep, exactly. So I really think that Emma Hayes is truly an inspiration, and no disrespect to the other players. The players have put an excellent shift as well. Mark Eriksson, for example, she's our club captain, and we missed her dearly in the first leg. Second leg, she was back, and great performance once again. So there are just so many players in that team who are so inspirational. And the Emma Hayes situation, she came out and said that why should managing a women's football team be considered lesser than managing a men's football team? But she was asked the question about, the question was, would you like to step up into managing men's football team? And she was like, why is it a step up?
Up.
And that's something that I'm guilty of as well. And it was, whenever watching women's football, I'll always compare it to the men's game and think, why am I watching this? Because being honest, the levels are massively different when you watch the men's game. But it's like, you need to watch it for what it is itself. And in terms of that, it's great. And in terms of what the team we've got, if we could bring that sort of efficiency of Kirby and Kerr and Al Harder into what we have, we need that attacking efficiency. Like you said, they won a game 3-0 and they didn't deserve to. Ours is the polar opposite. We should be thrashing teams sometimes, and we'll win 1-0 and hang on at the end. We need some of that efficiency from them. And it's nice that Hayes and Tuchel talk, and she can bounce ideas, because he's a mastermind in terms of what people talk about him, in terms of the level of coaching he's at. So it'd be brilliant if they could sort of bounce ideas. And he's open-minded to listen to anyone if they have an idea, and they pass it on to him as well. So it's sort of brilliant stuff.
No, 100%. I feel like Tuchel's like that as well. Wasn't it recently? Thomas Tuchel was just cited in the development squad as well, watching the match over there. So he's a very, very open. She said it in her quotes that he's a progressive coach. So that's about that. Very, very exciting stuff about the women's team on this particular Chelsea news show today.
The final is on 16th May. So if everyone can do, let's watch it together.
Is that FA Cup? That's FA.
15th is the FA Cup.
15th
is Cup. 16th is that.
It's the women's the Champions League final. So
we could have back-to-back trophies, parties. Ladies and gentlemen, there was nearly 100 people logged in at one stage here. Please smash that like button. Looks like you guys are really enjoying this particular show. We've got a couple of more news to cover before we wrap things up. Smash the like button, and my panelists, follow them. The socials are there in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to now talk about Billy Gilmour. Thomas Tuchel on Gilmour's performance against Fulham, very, very good. He's well aware of his qualities, which is good. It was not necessary for him to convince me today because I'm already convinced. Otherwise, I would not have picked him for the lineup, so it was necessary that he plays his part. I'll go to you, KISHAN, first of all on this. That match against Fulham, for the first 15 minutes, I was like, where's his partner? He's all by himself. Where's the double six? It looks like a single six. And then it clocked. It is a single six. Mason and Ziyech were dropping deep every now and then to help out, but predominantly it was a single six. Billy Gilmour was playing as a lone DM, and Thomas Tuchel came out and said that he's more suited to play as a lone DM. He can do that. Whether he can do that in the long term, I don't know. Whether he was able to do that against Fulham, maybe that's what he's more referring to, or maybe he thinks he's got the capabilities of doing that. Whatever it is, the first 15 minutes, he was just getting blown out of the water, honestly. But then he slowly grew into it. Thiago Silva was helping him out a lot more. Ziyech kept on dropping deep. Mount kept on dropping deep. He was getting into it. It made me realize I was always under the impression, KISHAN, that Billy Gilmour is going to be something like Jorginho for us. Do you know what I mean? Like someone like the way Jorginho plays. But then it made me realize I think he can be a lot more than Jorginho. I think he's got a lot more facets. Jorginho is fantastic. No disrespect to Jorginho. But I think Billy Gilmour can be a lot more than that. He can have all that passing that Jorginho has. Athletically, he's much better as well. And he can be box to box as well. I feel like Billy Gilmour has the legs to be box to box. Do you feel this is a player? I'm convinced the way Tuchel talks. I believe in everything Tuchel says, honestly. You know how sometimes a manager, you go, bro, you're lying, man. You are lying. I know you're lying. Don't say that. You're lying. But with Thomas Tuchel, I don't feel like when he says it, I feel like he means it. When he says that he's convinced with Billy Gilmour, I know he means it. Do you think, KISHAN, with the thing with Billy Gilmour is perhaps it's good to keep him the way Pep did with Foden, and maybe there's a development in that manner? Or do you feel if he doesn't get enough game time next season, maybe it's better to go to another club for a loan?
Oh, it's a tough one, because either way, I do think he'd be learning a lot. Because even under Tuchel, like we say, he's a world-class coach, but I do think he does need minutes. I didn't quite understand the comment from Tuchel where he said he's more suited to be a lone DM. I don't get why that is the case. But like you said, in terms of facets of his game, he could be way more progressive than Jorginho. And I think he's kind of shown that as well when he says, I'm watching a lot of Cesc Fabregas. I want to learn that side of it more. He had so many good progressive passes, and he's got that intricacy in his game to be progressive. So for sure, we should hang on to him. But I feel like at this moment, we have to pick the right team to loan him out to if we were loaning out. He can't just go to any old team and
he can't
just
go to
be fighting relegation.
He can't go to a Burnley. Do you know what I mean? Like, no way.
Yeah, for sure. I'd really like to see him under someone like a Graham Potter at Brighton, where if he was to get minutes, that kind of thing, because there's certain principles that Graham Potter followed that we could easily translate it into our game when he comes back on loan. So he needs a loan like that. Another one a lot of people say is Leeds. I guess so, but I do prefer the Graham Potter Brighton one.
But I don't think Bielsa is someone who's just going to say, yeah, Chelsea, bring your players, I'll develop them, and then you can take it.
yeah, for sure. Whereas I think Brighton would be open to someone of his level coming in. So, but in terms of the actual game, like you said, he was getting run around for the first 15 minutes. And I thought Jorginho does make things look easy, actually, when you appreciate what he brings to the game. I think putting Billy there made us appreciate Georgie a lot more. So with that, after that, he did grow into the game. And it was almost like we managed the risk that Tuchel kind of knew that we'd be more open by having this one DM, but at the other side, we'd be more progressive. And there were a lot of chances in that game on both sides. We were probably lucky to not concede at certain points where some of the saves that Mendy had. This was a game Mendy had to do the most work since probably Leeds, I think. West Brom he had to, but that was just pulling the ball out of the net. It was like a risk management, and I think the whole game was a risk management where we've got a Real Madrid game on Wednesday. We need to keep everyone fresh, but we really need the 3 points, and to get out alive and get the 3 points, we'll take that all day.
No, for sure. AMEYA, do you feel the same way as KISHAN was sort of saying, maybe a loan? I just feel like maybe it could be a Foden situation where we can just keep him. It's difficult if he doesn't get game time, but I feel like he'll learn a lot more under Thomas Tuchel than a Graham Potter, or I think he'll learn a lot under Bielsa, but I don't see Bielsa helping us out. I think Bielsa's there for himself. Graham Potter on the other side, they would appreciate a player like Billy Gilmour because they play that kind of football, possession-based football, progressive football. But I think he would learn a lot under Thomas Tuchel. Look how much he's already learned. Do you know what I mean? And Thomas Tuchel seems to admire this player a lot. So what angle would you go with Billy Gilmour?
I think it depends on whether we get a DM next season, because if we do, then I mean, there's a lot of rumors obviously floating about Jorginho's agent never can shut his mouth about going back to Italy. So stuff like that.
The funny thing with Jorginho's agent with that is Jorginho's that level of player where it doesn't quite work with, where we're not, if he comes out and he says that, we're not like, oh no. It's not like an Eden Hazard where we'd all lose our head with it. It's like, okay, go on then, go. Even though he's not gonna.
Yeah, but that's the difference, right? Jorginho himself never says it. He's such a professional guy. And Frank Lampard himself praised Jorginho, saying that he's such a professional. And, he sat out a bit of later on in the last season, towards the end of our top 4 race after lockdown. He was sitting out a lot of games, and Gilmour was getting games until he got that injury. So, and Frank Lampard mentioned that Jorginho is professional guy there as well, but it's his agent who's got a big mouth, spewing stuff everywhere. But that's
just wants the commission, bro. He just wants the commissions.
Yep, exactly. And so I think it depends on that, because if Jorginho leaves and we sign another DM, then Gilmour should say 100%. Right. But then at the same time, if Jorginho does not end up leaving and we do sign one of the DMs that we're linked to, then that puts us in a bit of a sticky situation with Gilmour. And I think that we have to wait and see how it pans out. And a loan as well, it has to be a very specific loan. But I think our youth team, our loan management system, or however you want to call it, I think they actually execute it well. I think so many of the loans, they're more or less to sort of, good side, especially this season. If I could, I know I'm taking a bit long, but I think the Gallagher loan is a perfect example of that. I mean, under Slaven Bilic, he was, registering, presses and ball one in the third pitch, right up there with Mason Mount. That's where his numbers were. But once Sam Allardyce came, they became more sort of sit back and, hoof the ball forward and we'll take it from their sort of side. So that didn't help his development. But I think that the loan system will probably, take into consideration how the team plays, how the manager likes to play, and then probably run it by Gilmour as well before making the final decision. So we have to see how that pans out. But personally, for me, I would want him to stay and learn. And stylistically, I know you threw about, Jorginho and players like that. I think the perfect player to compare him to is Marco Verratti from PSG. I think they are so similar. I think he's not as silky as Thiago is on the ball, but I think Verratti is a perfect comparison for Gilmour. And the first half of the PSG Man City game, second half Man City, obviously, they just came out with all guns firing. But the first half, Verratti actually did a really good job against Man City, who probably have the best midfield in the world. So if he should look at Verratti and try and reach his level, because that's the sort of profile that I see him being, and not the lone DM as Tuchel actually said. So that's
absolutely. I would want him to stay. Honestly, I think we're all hyped about Mason Mount. We're all hyped about Reece James. Billy Gilmour. I think this guy is going to be a superstar. We just need to be patient. the way we talk about Foden now and his development, I think we're going to talk about Billy Gilmour's progress that way. Boys, the last one before we wrap things up, Edouard Mendy. I need to talk about him. I don't think people are talking too much about this player. And, obviously, Mason Mount is the player of the season, undoubtedly. But if there was a second choice, I would have to think about Edouard Mendy as being one of the biggest contenders. The number of clean sheets he's been racking up, defensively we're strong anyway, but the odd chance a shot goes in, Mendy's there. Mendy stops, he makes sure that he tells the defenders, if you ever fall asleep, the boss is ready. The boss is there to help you out. Kishan, you and me, we did the Leeds watch-along, if you remember. And the crazy saves he did that day, I was blown away. Do you know what I mean? Just a couple of days ago against Fulham, just before the half-time, that deflected shot with his wrist. If he doesn't save that, that's a different story, man. Going into the game 1-1, half-time, it's a different feel. Do you know what I mean? And he's been chipping in like that many a times in the Champions League and whatnot. Kishan, I feel like we need to stop talking about Donnarumma and all of this stuff. I think we need to now put the target on Mendy and say, you're number one. Now the conversation is really about a backup keeper. Whether Kepa wants to be a backup at 72 million, pounds or whatever. If you want to be a backup, it's up to you. You probably don't. You have ambitions to be number one. Okay, go on. We probably just need a backup keeper. But do you feel enough with the Donnarumma links and all of that? Just cut that out.
I never really looked into those Donnarumma links that much. Not because he's not a good goalkeeper, but I always saw those as a smokescreen for a new contract. I always think he'll stay at AC Milan, if not possibly go to like a Juventus. I can't really see him coming to us. But like you said, Mendy he's been solid. The one thing I'd say in terms of the sort of player of the year kind of thing, Mason Mount's has been so good that it feels like we don't even need to have that conversation. And one other part of Mendy is, like you say, the Leeds games, he made some amazing saves, and against Fulham as well, that was a really good save. But I feel like with how good our defense has been, especially under Tuchel, and at some points, there was a period where we were getting quite a few clean sheets under Lampard. So it's that defense has been so good in protecting him from facing really high quality shots where you expect someone to score, or a scenario where he has to pull off a worldie of a save. Because if I'm thinking about the saves he's made, there's a few worldies in there, but it's not to the level of, in those periods where Arsenal fans would say Leno consistently saves us, or David De Gea, how he used to save United. It's never to that. It's not been to that level because we haven't kind of let it, which is a good thing, and we shouldn't put it against him. But I do kind of want to see how he reacts to having to make those saves in, like, when he has to make absolute crazy saves.
High caliber saves.
We've always kind of had a good defense, but when we talk about Thibaut Courtois, we knew he had that side to him where he could pull off a worldie. I want to see
basically
that.
What you're looking for is like a 30-yard screamer, in a nil-all, let's say, against Real Madrid.
What I want to see, I want to see from 3 yards where there's a little header coming in from 3 yards, no one gives anyone a chance, and he pulls it. Remember the David Seaman one from when he against Sheffield, something like that. Yeah, ones like that. I want to see absolute worldies, and if he's got that, then fair enough. But in terms of commanding the box, we need someone who's we have someone who's 6'6". You got rival players trying to take his gloves off to stop him from coming out nowadays.
Bro,
as well.
What about that? Kishan, and I'll ask AMEYA as well, but Kishan, I feel like the oppositions are rattled by him to the point where they want to stop fiddling around with his gloves to just get his mindset on.
Yeah, physically he's an absolute giant. So fair enough. If that's the method, he probably would have punched it without anything on his hand. Mendy. So he's been brilliant. So I do get why people don't want a number one. But one other thing I'd say is next season African Cup of Nations. So we do have to look at a very good backup. If you're saying so, for now it feels like I'm happy enough to kind of give Kepa a go, because you kind of also know that we have got Caballero. I'm not sure if he leaves this summer, but he's a
gotta go,
solid
bro.
sort of number. Yeah, he's a solid, especially as a number 3. He's probably one of the better number 3s out there. So, but we do need someone really good to deputize, because especially if we're talking about we're going to be chasing Man City next season, we can't just give it up for having a poor goalkeeper.
And God forbid if
for a
Mendy
month
ever gets injured. Do you know what I mean? Like, keepers
Absolutely.
barely get injured, but
keepers don't get injured. He has had the odd injury. I know he had the tooth out, but that didn't really affect us. But he did have one injury during his time at Chelsea, I think. Especially, I think it was an international. Yeah, that one. So no real injury concern with him, but we do need someone who's gonna deputize massively and they've got massive shoes to fill with Mendy.
Literally.
Yeah. AMEYA,
literally.
Literally. AMEYA, that video still plays in my mind. That Fulham player, I can't really remember who it was.
I think it was Bobby Reid.
Bobby Reid, that's it. And he was literally trying to put him off his guard by continuously trying to take his gloves off. I just feel like opposition teams are really talking about this, that this he's a monster in set pieces. And then he literally diffuses the opposition set piece. So this is, would you consider him as one of the top keepers in the Premier League this season? Like, would you have him as the Golden Glove winner, I suppose, basically?
I think he's just a couple of clean sheets off Edison in the Golden Glove race, if I'm not wrong, just 2 or 3 clean sheets behind Edison. So definitely been one of the better keepers. But at the same time, as Kishan mentioned, I think an excellent point about the quality of saves. And genuinely, like the Fulham game, of course, he showed that he has that, he has that knack for making important saves. But most games, he doesn't usually have much to do. It's either, an easy shot from distance, which doesn't really trouble him, 1 or 2. Well, that's an interesting one.
Literally, that is what I remember the Spurs game. When we went to penalties, and I was like, oh no, this is the point with him. I do not. If we were in the final, I'd like to sub Willy Caballero onto a penalty shootout. If it gets onto like Champions League, I'd sub Willy on.
Yeah, because this man absolutely has no idea in the penalties. Honestly. He doesn't dive anyway. Go on, AMEYA.
Yeah, I think his biggest plus is the way he collects crosses, be it from corners or even crosses into the box from open play. And, the way he commands the box, that's his biggest plus. His biggest plus is not, those flashy diving saves or, calmly passing the ball for an assist like how Edison does, for example. His core competency, as they say, when it comes to business, his core competency is his height, is the way he collects the ball in the box, is the way he commands the situation. And there's never, except for the West Brom game, I think that's one exception, but he's never let his defense sort of be chaotic and all over the place, right? It's always there, and that's also obviously down to Tuchel. But I think the goalkeepers also have to talk to their defenders, get the defenders to hold their line, ask them to press or ask them to stay back, or sometimes call that, I'll collect this, you don't have to kick that out of play, I can come and collect that. So that sort of stuff, I think Mendy does pretty well, and he settled in well. But I think apart from the Leeds game and the Fulham game, he hasn't had too much to do, and he's done his job when he's been called upon. But at the same time, is he, the goalkeeper who you think will allow us to compete on all 4 fronts in the season? And I don't know about that. I mean, don't kill me for this, guys. Don't kill me for this. But
I think we're gonna have to.
I mean, he's not a Courtois. He's not a Courtois. I just
literally.
don't know how to say it.
We've had a season, like we're pretty much nearly finished the season, and we can't tell you if he's had that high quality of saves. Like, he's not had to make them, but we've gone through a whole season. It's not like we're first, we're 4th as well. So it's really weird where, I don't know, one save that Kepa made against Brighton where he hanged onto the ball.
Yeah.
I want to kind of see that kind of stuff with Mendy.
Even Kepa,
because
do you
he
guys
is really
remember
good.
Super Cup last year against Liverpool, the double save?
Oh yeah, wasn't it triple? Was it triple?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
triple
a
save.
save.
Yeah, triple save. Triple save.
Yeah, and then he had the FA Cup one against
Against
Liverpool where he made
as
like
well, yeah.
so many as well. He loves Liverpool, it looks like. Not this season, but yeah. With Mendy, there is still that factor. I do get you, but it was like Kepa was so incompetent that when we signed this competent guy, he automatically looked like a god to us.
Exactly.
He became a god to us where we were like, yes. And then he did have that period where he clatters into Dominic Calvert-Lewin for no reason. Aston Villa, where he let that El Ghazi goal go, and if you're being real, like a proper goalkeeper should save that. So it's a bit of both, but I don't know. The level of goalkeepers now, you can look around. Leno is a bit of a clown when he wants to be. De Gea is a bit of a clown when he wants to be.
Bro, what happened
Lloris
to Leno,
is,
bro?
so it's just
Leno.
like, I don't know if
God.
you can get an error-free goalkeeper, if it's even possible in this day and age now. Neuer, you look at the shot
but
that
even the likes
Mbappe
of
beat
Ellison.
Neuer with.
Ellison is making
Alisson's
mistakes.
made massive mistakes this season. Ederson's got a few in him, minimal now, because obviously he doesn't have that shot against
that one with Billingham. That one with Billingham.
Yeah. How was that?
He got away, bro. He got away.
We should be meeting Dortmund in the final. But it's like, so the goalkeeper position now, I think the general quality of it has gone down. And one of the reasons is because of this whole playing with your feet stuff. They make a lot of mistakes with their feet as well now compared to back in the day where you just hoof it out. So, Mendy with his feet as well. That's one other thing we should talk about. What do you guys think? Because it's like, I remember the Atletico game. And I had it on, and he takes a heavy touch 2 minutes in, and the TV froze. It froze, so I froze at the bit where the guys just nicked the ball past him. I'm like, oh no, penalty already. Then
goal?
It comes back. It comes out a few seconds later, and I was like, how did you get out of that one? So it's like,
I think Thiago Silva helped him out of that.
Yeah,
one.
so he does have that where he's a bit suspect when it comes to, but I do like him with his feet as well, especially when he chips it out to like a fullback. It always seems to be bang on. So I take the risk.
But he's improved. His
but he's not
improved.
I do get.
I think his debut probably, or was it the 0-0 game at Old Trafford? I think the first time he got the ball and then he kicked it against, like the ball just rolled over the goal.
No.
Didn't he score an own goal?
Exactly, that's the one. And then it went out for a corner. Fortunately, it like rolled along the line. You know how Czech did it against Man City when when Emery had the whole play out from the back stuff, and Czech's not that guy. He tried to kick it, and then Czech played a development game for us, where it was looking like he might come in as a fourth choice. He did the same thing against Tottenham again, where Drinkwater kicked a 16-year-old. But yeah, I think Mendy's, I don't know, his long passing is pretty decent, but his short passing, I think so many times in a game he gives the ball away and we have to be bailed out of the situation. So he's just not as comfortable as the other keepers. Of course, he does have his pros, as I mentioned earlier, but I just think that the one point is, do I see him leading us to, say, a treble? I mean, I'm being bold here, but do I see him leading us to a treble? I think not. And I think he was always meant to be that stopgap signing, because the reason we scouted him so much and the reason we bought him at such a cut price deal from a relatively unknown entity, right? I mean, he wasn't one of the most talked about keepers. And there are other keepers out there who were very expensive. I mean, if we really wanted to get a keeper, we could have spent the cash and got him, but there was a reason we went for a stopgap signing for someone we scouted so much. And it's not like he's on the younger side as well. I mean, he's probably in his prime right now, and he wasn't overly excellent in the League One as well. He was solid. He was among the top 3 or 4 goalkeepers, but did he like stand out? I don't think so. Otherwise, there would probably been a lot more hype about him. So he was always meant to be that stopgap signing from Kepa until we can find, probably, I'm not saying like this season, but like in 2 or 3 seasons time, until we're able to find that, solid goalkeeper. Because from the time I started watching, we've had Petr Cech first up, and then after that we had Courtois, and I mean, it's just like Petr Cech, Courtois, and then boom. right? So I just don't. So I think
Here's the thing, Amir.
Yeah.
I was watching Matisse's show, the oil boys yesterday, and they had some really good conversation about this whole Mendy situation. And I think Monster was saying that Chelsea has never gone out and actually bought a world-class keeper.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter Cech wasn't world-class when we bought him. He was one of those really, really good scouted keepers. Courtois was the same thing. Timo Courtois from Genk, he was on world-class when we got him. He eventually became world-class after being in Atletico Madrid and whatnot. So from that perspective, we just need to realize that maybe we need to give Mendy an opportunity. Maybe he turns into a world-class goalkeeper because we've not done it historically. Peter Cech was never the Peter Cech when we bought him. Do you know what I mean? He became Peter Cech throughout that time.
Those two goalkeepers at an early stage and then developed them, right?
Yeah.
This looks like Mendy is exactly. They had age on their side. This is Mendy's prime, and obviously training with better players, training under a world-class manager does make you better. But
Mendy started late as well, boys. You need to realize probably.
That's the thing. My chart with Mendy was when he came in, everything was clean sheets. I was like, oh, and then it hit a massive car crash, and then I fizzled out to about this level where I'm like,
true,
it'll do, kind of. And it's not even it'll do. I'm confident with him. Like if we go into a game with Real Madrid, I'm confident with having the guy in the goal.
Yeah,
but it's just that, like you say, I do get your Czech Courtois kind of thing, but they always had the potential. Courtois, when we signed him, a lot of other teams wanted him. Like even in that Athletic, Simon Johnson wrote, Atletico were looking at him, and that's one of the reasons they loaned him. So if we didn't get him, someone else would have. And it's just with him, there's just that factor of he's literally come out of nowhere. We've not known him, but he's done really well for what he is doing. So, and I know AMEYA said we can't win the treble with him, but let's hope we can do a double with him this season.
Absolutely,
obviously.
Man, absolutely. And I want to back him. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like. I know you boys want to back him as well.
It's like we back him, but it's like we shouldn't just get lost in the recent period because there was that little blip. We do have to look at. I think right now it's very easy to say because everything is going so well that you're like it's easy to praise him, but. In a period
wait till we go back forward. Wait till we go back. In the period
where it was bad, there was a period in which I would expect some sort of mistake or some sort of edgy moment at least once every game. So it's hard to look past that sometimes as well.
I'm
happy.
And also, wait till we go back 4, right? Like it could be a different dynamics then.
Literally, and that's another thing, Miz. When you say about us not buying a centre back. If we were staying in the current formation, I think, fair enough. But that's another reason why I think we are looking at one if we are going into full.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've almost gone 2 hours talking Chelsea, almost 10 minutes away. If you guys have enjoyed it, which it looks like you have, many of you guys have commented, great show. I may need to think about this trio, come in once a week and just talk about Chelsea news maybe. I think you guys are enjoying this, so this could be a thing. And I love the chemistry that we had going on here. But before we end up, guys, please smash the like button. Helps the channel out a lot. So before you go, smash the like button. And my panelists, check out their socials in the description. Follow them. And I may need to think about this. This could be a once a week thing. I got
called a Kepistan. No chance. You should have seen the things I was saying about him.
KISHAN is a Kepistan. I can't believe that. But boys, before we go, AMEYA, you got anything coming up in the upcoming days or that you want to just quickly let us know?
Yeah, I do have another channel as well. I'm regular on a channel called CFC Chats. So if you do like my content, then I'm talking to myself there, looking at a screen, waffling. Don't have the company of Miz and KISHAN, who are both excellent. But yeah, I mean, it's just me by myself waffling. But I do look into, sort of things from my perspective, and not general. I do go into the depths of it a couple of times. So if you guys like that, then I could, if you could add the link in the description, I'd be very happy.
I'll 100% add the link to the description. But meanwhile, if you want to go directly to AMEYA's Twitter page, because he's got all the links there.
Yeah.
AMEYA's Twitter page, the @ is there. go out there and follow him. But I will add the link to the link to his channel in the description as well. 100%. And we all love a good waffling, man. That's what we've been doing here. We've been waffling for almost 2 hours. KISHAN, my boy, well, what's coming up for you, bro? I mean, I know you're not a massive content maker and all of that, but in general, man, like in life and whatnot.
I'm just here, ready whenever, really. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed this show because I got a lot of comments saying people enjoyed it and stuff like that. And out of all of the shows that I've been on and all of the combinations we've had, I like this one the best out of.
This was gold.
I don't know how many times I've been on as well. That says a lot, because
plenty.
We've nearly done 2 hours, and that's the longest I've sat in this. My neck is aching, but it's all good. It's all for a good cause. So I'm happy. And I'm happy people like it as well.
Yeah. Oh my God, KISHAN, you're a funny one, bro. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, do keep your eyes out for this. I may do something. I think I might have just struck gold here. I feel like the live chat really enjoys this. So maybe once a week we might do something and talk about Chelsea news. That's it. That's what we're going to do. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, do look out for me tomorrow. I believe Thomas Tuchel's press conference will be tomorrow. Is that?
Yeah. It will be sometime midday tomorrow.
Yeah. So I'll probably schedule it for 2 p.m. UK. So do look out for that, guys. The preview, whole new different panel that's been rolling around for the whole Real Madrid show. There could be a madness tomorrow. There could be 6 or 7, actually, because everyone wants to come for this particular preview. So look out for that. And then the review. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if we go through to the final, which I believe we will, it's going to be an absolute party in my channel.
We're going to need a dance, man.
Miz is going to come with his top off, guys.
You remember the dance he did when we got top 4?
It's going to be the whole dance, man. I'm telling you guys, honestly, there'll be a party in this channel if we go to the final. I'm going to invite all you guys live chat. It's going to be open. I may even stream for like 3-4 hours. I don't even know. I'll just call in sick for the work. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone come in, give your 2 cents. And yeah, it's just going to be mental if we go to the final. I know, I'm pretty sure we will. Hopefully we do that. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, see ya.